I'll try to be quick. The information that you already have the presentation in your package. What I wanted to do is just to run through it very quickly to give you the highlights of where we are in terms of the process of the rezoning of McLoughlin and update you as to the way forward. So basically, if we get the site rezoned, we would be able to complete the procurement process. We'd be able to select a proponent so that we could proceed. And we would then go to the next stage, which would be the development permit stage. We would also then be able to execute the agreements with Esquimalt for the mitigation and compensation, which is around $13 million. So the revised application that went into Esquimalt on the 20th of December last year was a revised bylaw, a community impact mitigation operation agreement, and a host community impact 5-year agreement. And then the next slides actually summarize the elements of those agreements. And it's structured in a fashion where it recognizes the issue that was brought forward by Esquimalt through the public meetings and through council and staff, and then the mitigation that the committee has agreed to put forward to meet these concerns. So in terms of traffic, we've agreed to utilize barging for bringing materials to and from the site. In terms of lost revenues, there's the district energy system, as well as a community impact mitigation fee of $55,000 per year, which is indexed. This fee actually goes away if Esquimalt decides to take the district energy system. In terms of upgrades, there's the Lyle Street enhancements, which is $950,000, the observation area along the waterfront, the walkway, which total $175,000. There's an allowance for public art of $100,000. There's the dock, the permanent dock for the kayaks, which is $150,000. There's the education and interpretive center will be an integral part of the plant. We've agreed to a liaison committee with all of the community representatives, as well as the DND, CRD, and the contractor. Contractually, we've committed to no odor that can be smelled by the human nose at the boundary. In terms of First Nations consultations, they are ongoing. We had a blessing ceremony last year, and we've talked previously in this meeting about the burial site at Beacon Hill. We feel that there would be a positive impact on tourism, that we're no longer dumping sewage into the ocean. In terms of the architecture, the architectural has been presented to the design review panel at Esquimalt. In terms of the DND, we've negotiated all of the laydown areas with DND, and as much as possible, we've tried to reduce the impact by leasing houses that would be most impacted by this construction. In terms of resource recovery, there's the direct energy system, which is a $7.5 million system, with an additional $200,000 for Esquimalt to evaluate whether they would like the system or not. If the system is built, it will be paid for by the CRD, but the operations will be paid for by Esquimalt. That's why the $200,000 is required for them to understand the business case and for them to decide whether they would like it or not. If Esquimalt decides they do not want the district energy system, then the $55,000 continues for the entire duration as long as the plant is there. In terms of the design guidelines, these have been met and been deemed to be consistent with what Esquimalt Council has approved. The O&M building will be at a LEED standard. Safety plans will be part of the overall integrated safety plan of the contractor. We are consistent with the OCP. The design includes a tsunami wall that includes the wave height for the tsunami, the wave height for the run-up, and a safety factor. In terms of the siting of the biosolids facility, the CRD is committed not to site the biosolids facility in Esquimalt. and since then its heartland has been confirmed as a site. And then there are other mitigations, including water system upgrades, additional conduits in the pipe trenches, access for emergency and public, and then, of course, the building fees. So in terms of the Design Review Committee, this is a committee that was set up by Esquimalt, with Victoria being present. They met 3 times with each proponent. Setbacks were specifically discussed, and the committee was looking for an innovative design. At the end of these 3 meetings, the proponents went away with the impression that even though that they would impact or encroach on the 7.5 meter area, that the committee would look upon this positively if the aesthetics were correct. At the end of this process, this committee felt that the design guidelines were met. Esquimalt Council, as part of our submission, had asked us to do a 3D model that showed a flyover of the site. So I'd just like to do that quickly, if I may. I think it's here. And I think, so this is just a generic representation of the site. This is not the design of any of the proponents. This is just a generic representation of the site. The reason it was done is to show the massing that reflected the zoning in the bylaw, in the proposed bylaw. The red area is the 7.5 meter setback from the high water mark. These areas that are shown as encroachments, these are just examples of how a proponent could encroach in that 7.5 meter zone. As you can see, there are 3 different areas here where this design has encroached. But again, this is a generic design. This is the 20 meter setback. In the 20 meter setback, there are certain height restrictions. This is the 1 meter setback from the high water mark. This shows you the walkway around the facility. This shows you the public observation point. The view from the ocean, and then the fly around. Again, there's no architecture attached to this model. It's just a massing diagram to show the heights and setbacks requirements of the bylaw. Okay. So the Advisory Planning Commission met on the 14th of January. And basically, they were very pleased with the revised application. They recognized that the issues that were previously raised had been addressed. They also recognized that all 3 proponents had met the requirements of the design guidelines. What they expressed concern about were the encroachments into the 7.5 meter setback area. Their rationale, and it's a good rationale, their rationale was that if there was no certainty from the Esquimalt side, the proponents could, after award, just fill the 7.5 meter zone with building. And that's a legitimate concern that was raised, and as a result, the APC actually voted against the approval of the revised bylaw. So basically, the position on the setbacks is that in the 7.5 meter setback area, the encroachment is not to exceed 10% of that area in that zone. It also limits any of the encroachments, i.e. any of that 10% encroachment should not be closer than 3 meters to the high water mark. All of the designs that have been submitted by the 3 proponents have minor encroachments into this zone, and, but none of them are up to 10%. The largest one is 4%. And what I'd like to show you is pictorially what that looks like. So this is the site. The blue area is the 7.5 meter setback, and the black shaded areas represent 10% encroachment. So basically, this is what the bylaw allows us to do. And then the next couple of slides will show you what the actual encroachments from the 3 proponents are. So this is one proponent. As you can see, they have some areas that are into the 7.5 meter zone. This is the second proponent, and here the issue is, as you can see to my left, which was probably to be to your right, that in one area there is, it goes closer than 3 meters. So that's the issue. So the issue is not that our proponents have utilized more area in the 7.5 meter zone than they should, because they haven't. They're at a 4%, bylaw allows 10%. The issue is that some of those encroachments actually are closer than 3 meters. They're actually more like 1.5, as you can see in 2 spots here on this example. And these are from the actual proponent designs. And then these are the encroachments of the last proponent, which, as you can see, are very minor. And this is an overall view with all 3 proponents shaded in different colors, blue, red, and green. You can barely see the green because that's the smallest one. Those are the encroachments based on the current design from the 3 proponents. So everybody recognizes that McLoughlin was a tight site, and that, and as a result of that, in order to achieve innovation and the optimum capacity on that site, we require minor encroachments into the 7.5 meter setback area. If we get these encroachments, it will allow us to get the best capacity on the site, the best process efficiency, and by that I mean if the process can flow by gravity and we don't have to pump in the middle of the process, that's a much first of all, it's a cheaper capital cost, and it's a much cheaper operational cost as we go forward. So we need this flexibility. It also allows different technologies to be presented, and it allows actually architecturally significant designs, which we can't show because of the confidentiality, but like I said, the design review panel has seen these and has indicated that they all meet the design requirements. And they prevent, if we are allowed with these encroachments, it will give the cheapest cost to the taxpayer. So after we went to the commission, the planning commission, and we recognized what their concerns were, i.e. that we could fill the entire 10%, we approached Esquimalt about how could we actually give them comfort that we would not do this. So the way between the lawyers, what was decided as part of the bylaw, we would do a section 219 covenant to the bylaw, which would make those 3 drawings that you saw part of the bylaw. So then legally, the CRD would not be able to build a building that was different from the encroachments that would be shown on those 3 different drawings. So that would give the confidence to Esquimalt that the proponent afterwards in the development permit stage couldn't fill the area, the 10% area. So I thought this was actually quite a neat idea, and it actually provided the confidence to Esquimalt that we couldn't go beyond what we said we would do. So with this issue addressed, we felt that the concerns of Esquimalt staff and the Advisory Planning Commission have now been addressed, and we believe that the outcomes of the negotiations have been reflected with the addition of these encroachment drawings to the bylaw. And this submission, this revised bylaw submission, allows all 3 designs to be built on the site while maintaining the competitive process. So as a result of the approach, Esquimalt Council provided first and second reading to the bylaw and has requested that it goes to public hearing. The public hearing is happening on the 18th of February and potentially the 19th if there are a lot of people and it has to go on to a second day. So in terms of the way forward, we provided a full mailing to all of Esquimalt's residents. That went out last week. In addition to that, we have 2 open houses, one on February the 13th and one on February the 15th. At the request of Esquimalt Council, we will be doing a boat tour of McLoughlin Point so that people could see it from the water. And then the hearings, like I said, happen on the 18th and 19th, and then it's referred back for a council decision on the 24th of February. So I would request that as many of you as possible show up to these occasions to support the project because you've made the decision to build a project. We'd like to see some support as we go forward. I'll take questions.
Well, are we invited on the yacht trip as well?
Yes, you're invited on the yacht trip, as you can see. It loads at 2 o'clock, leaves at 2:30. We have, the boat can take 150 people, and at the moment you can register for it on our website. There are about 40 people registered so far, but the boat can take up to 150 people.
So we should register quickly to get on that. Okay.
Yes.
Further questions? Director Desjardins?
Thank you. Thank you, Albert, for your presentation. I think it's very good. One of the things that I would like to say is that CRD staff took Esquimalt Council members on a site tour, and I found that very helpful. And I would encourage everyone sitting at this table that are making major decisions to go, and maybe staff will do that again for you, but at least go and look, because there are paint marks on the rocks that show things like encroachment. And if you can't see it from the land and you're not getting through the gate, the boat tour will be another place that you will have that opportunity to see these things. The other thing that's very clear is the paint marks of where ground level is. And I think that for everyone to understand what exactly is being built there, that's an important mark that was very helpful to see. And so I would encourage you all, in whatever way you can, either by boat or by land, to go and view the site and see and make sure you understand which paint marks mean what. So thank you.